And it's just been so crazy. 2024 has literally, I mean, it started with me being interviewed on a TV show, reading the Bible, um, just into meeting the love of my life, into moving back to Arizona, into making a transition in my business, and also launching a new sector and enhancing a new sector of my business, of my coaching program, and the academy that we have to help network marketers. And it's just been so crazy.
Welcome to the biggest network marketing mistakes podcast, where we share the jaw-dropping stories and lessons behind the top 1% network marketers' massive team building mistakes so you don't make them. Prepare to be blown away as we peel back the layers and expose the untold secrets and hacks deployed by the industry's finest. This podcast is designed specifically for faith-based network marketing leaders who refuse to sacrifice precious family time in pursuit of success. Ditch the burnout and embrace a life of freedom. I'm your host, Megan Miles, network marketing pro with over a decade of experience in the field, here to serve you. Let's get started.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm so excited to be here. Oh my gosh, it has been a crazy few months. I actually haven't done an episode. I'll fill you guys in on a little bit of the nitty-gritty that's been going on behind the scenes. 2024 has literally kicked off like crazy. Sorry about that. My son came out, gave him a few snacks. And it's just been so crazy. 2024 has literally, I mean, it started with me being interviewed on a TV show, reading the Bible, just into meeting the love of my life, into moving back to Arizona, into making a transition in my business, and also launching a new sector and enhancing a new sector of my business, of my coaching program, and the academy that we have to help network marketers. And it's just been so crazy. And on top of all of that, I've been really sick in bed for the last 2 months. I had COVID, but I also had a 9-month sickness. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Some of you will get this later and you'll message me. Feel free to message me. I haven't made a public announcement yet, but pretty exciting stuff. But it's made me literally be in bed for 2 months. So super excited to catch up today. And share, really, I want to dive into how to leave a company with integrity, because I know, especially right now, so many people are making changes, and I want to help you avoid a lot of headaches that most industry leaders make, most people in the industry, just because they don't really know any better. And I've made 2 full formal transitions in my career. And each time I have literally received personal messages from people thanking me for the way that I left, for the manner that I left in such a classy way. I definitely have my incredible mentor, Joan Robison, to thank for so much of this, as she's walked me through, how to conduct business professionally and with class. And, even if you are taking this as a hobby, people remember how you make them feel. Okay. And people remember what you do, and if you do what you say. And I've started to say recently, integrity is doing what you say you're going to do. Okay. I am such a squirrel and I have to-do lists upon to-do lists, but I write things down because I make sure if I say I'm going to do something, even if I might sometimes lag a little bit, I want to make sure I get it done. I also always give deadlines that I know I can meet. So even though I would likely like to do something for someone today, I'll say something like, and hey, I can guarantee I'll have that to you by Monday. And if I don't, feel free to message me to shoot me a quick reminder. So it gives them the grace to also message me so that they know I care, right? Because at the end of the day, we are human. We have, fogged up brains and we forget things. So I think doing business with integrity is so important. And these are some lessons I've had to learn. I've been the person who hasn't followed through, not intentionally because I was trying to be a bad person, but life happens. Becoming a mom, I know things have slipped through the cracks. And unfortunately, I know I'm not perfect. It might happen again one day, but I strive with excellence, and teach my son as well and our leaders to strive with excellence and really act with integrity. So here's we've got 3 kind of little nuggets we're going to cover today. Will be kind of a quick short episode, but I just felt really called to bring this up today because so many people right now are looking for new homes, really. The truth is, some of the insider information is that companies are going to begin collapsing. And so, you want to make sure that you are keeping a tight knit community with your team and keeping your team culture tight knit. And two, you want to be sure too that you're crafting genuine relationships with other leaders in the industry, because you never know, something could change in your company. And where would you go? I know imagining that might sound crazy, right? But having a backup plan of like, where would you go, right? Things happen, unfortunately. And we all get in this industry and fall in love with our company. When my first company, we would always say we were bleeding blue. People would get tattoos branded on them practically with the logo. I mean, but unfortunately, things happen and the show must go on. So, making sure that you are just keeping your options open and getting to know leaders personally, how they really act behind closed doors. I think that's really huge because, a lot of times I fell in love with a ton of leaders from stage in my first few years of network marketing. And unfortunately, as I've grown, 12 years in the industry almost, getting to know some of those leaders behind closed doors, I've seen some things that have really turned me off and said, "Wow, I can't believe that's how they conduct themselves, how they act." That's, I feel like I was sold a little bit of a lie from stage sometimes, right? Not everybody, but it's unfortunate that, any industry can be filled with this, and so it's important that in any relationship, you really get to know somebody. So you want to really build those relationships for that reason, but also B, you never know when somebody might need a change as well too. And having those relationships with those leaders, right? You might be able to serve them in opening up your opportunity for them to look at, right? And truthfully, like I refer people to all the time of saying, "Hey, I think you should take a look at this or this, something that doesn't benefit me because we're in this together," right? Just because somebody may not want to come join my opportunity doesn't mean that I'm still not going to help them, right? If they're my friend, right? Help them find a good fit for them. Right. So the first thing is leaving with integrity. Okay. Like we're talking all about integrity. The first really piece of action here would be, making sure before you make any public announcements that you've really strategized. Okay. Personally, and the way that we did a lot of strategy is we met. I mean, we did take quite a bit of time to make this decision. Now, it can be different if your company is really collapsing before your eyes and you need to make a fast decision. But thankfully, the first transition, in both transitions, honestly, they were out of a need based on changes that were made in the company or internal changes within our team that really led us to, follow a new direction. And we had the time to do our due diligence. So do your due diligence. Meet with several companies, meet with several top leaders. Go and find a top leader, interview them. Take your time. Look at the health of the company. Look at the financial reportings. Get to see if you can get on a meeting with a home office representative, especially if you're a leader. They are always willing to meet with leaders, right? So get to know the home office staff, get to know the potential team you might join, the leader. Look at what systems they have and really pray about it. We interviewed about 6 different companies, and it's funny, we thought we had made our decision, and then we got on with a leader that I remember I was like, "We are not doing this company." I had nothing against the leader, actually, he's super awesome. I was like, "We're not doing this company, like, I don't know if I like that product." And then we got on and literally I was amazed by what I saw, and I absolutely loved that home that I had for 2 years. So, you also don't know what you don't know. So, be open to opportunity, not just, thinking you know which way you should go. Definitely have a wide variety of, options that you have that are having. The next piece of the strategy is once you've made a decision, right? And, maybe include your leaders in this process as well. At the end of the day, they may choose to go another direction, but that's okay. That's being a good leader, incorporating them in the process, helping educate them. And most of the time, if you've done your job right, your leaders are loyal to you. So ultimately, where you decide or you guys decide together, they will follow. But if in some rare cases they don't, you can feel good about the fact that you walked them through an amazing process to find the new best home for them. Okay. So once you guys have decided where to go, before you make any public announcements, this is what integrity looks like. Making sure that those that you're close with find out from you rather than a social media post. Okay. So this might be calling some of your, top leaders here. I've got my son here with me. I don't know what he's doing. Um, and and we're gonna pause here for a second. We'll be right back. We're back. So, this could be, as much as I wish as I could have, when we had a team of 2,000 people, I wish I could have called every single person because I love our team, right? I couldn't have 2,000 one-on-one conversations, but what I could do is make sure that the leaders I worked with side by side, and that and the mid-level leaders, that they heard it from me first, that they heard a thank you from me for how grateful I was to have been partnered with them. Okay. And that conversation really just went a little bit like this, hey, Susie, it's Megan Miles. I'm just calling you because, I wanted you to be one of the first to hear it from me before you saw it, on a social media post or anywhere, because I respect our relationship. I've actually made the decision to partner in a new direction, blah, 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 blah. Now, that conversation is so important, not just to make with your team, but maybe even any sideline members that you have been collaborating with, right? Because it's those relationships are key. You don't want to risk losing those relationships in general that you've built so efficiently, right? And so making sure to keep those good relationships intact. And it's just such a respect thing. When you do that, people feel so great about how you left, and they understand your personal decision. Now it's not just oh my gosh, that new leader left. Now there's a max exodus over there and a bad taste in the mouth. Now those leaders know the story. And now when their teams are, oh my gosh, so-and-so left, they can say, yeah, you know what? We're so happy for her. She made a decision that aligned with her family better, XYZ. And it's great. Now there's not all this crazy rumbo jumbo drama, about why is a leader leaving and right. And I always want to have the company, especially, I want to honor the company that I was with for the time I was there, right? I don't want people to be thinking, something major is wrong. Maybe there is, and that's an obvious thing, but if it is, you don't need to bring it up, right? You don't need to. And focus on the new direction and not the past. So even though in my first transition, especially, there were a lot of things wrong, in my opinion, that didn't feel good and didn't align, I didn't tell people I was leaving because of all these things that was going bad. I focused on the future. Notice I said, hey, I decided I'm headed in a new direction that aligns with my family's future. Okay. So make sure to transition in integrity. The next is make sure to follow legal procedures. Okay. This is this is also one of the reasons that I'm telling you, take your time. Okay. I'm not saying to take months, but take your time, even if it means an extra week. Okay. I respect leaders, especially that are joining me. I can think of our biggest leader on our team. She took, gosh, almost over a month when she made her decision because she had some legal things to figure out. And that's okay. I respect that, right? I respect that. So making sure that if you are in a position where there might be some potential compliance issues with your company, check with the new company that you're going with. Most often, sometimes their legal teams can make recommendations. They can offer some support and backing. I know I've been with a company that has more than gracious about offering that, legal support. Making sure that you have an attorney reading over your compliance from your previous company of what you can and cannot do, and your new company too. Protecting yourself, okay? Now, this may not be as important of an issue if you're maybe an entry-level leader, right? But especially as you are a higher tiered leader and you're earning, 6 figures plus typically, and you have a team and you're probably in a, non-compete in a sense where, the company probably doesn't allow you at a certain rank to build in multiple companies, you will need to protect yourselves legally. So here's a couple of things once you've met with, legal representation that you can also do. Now, I am not a legal counsel. I advise you to definitely get legal representation. I do not adhere that these policies, what I'm stating is 100% accurate is my legal statement to you. But first off, um, once you have made a couple of those phone calls to make sure that people know, because once you make your leave, you don't want to reach out to anybody. Okay. You want to follow legal standards. So the first thing is once you've made those phone calls that are important to you, that you can let people hear it from you personally, put in a resignation letter. Okay. Put in a resignation letter. You want to be able to have a clean cut, right? For the most part, there might be specific situations. I know today, especially with, there are companies that are a lot more open. And so maybe you don't have to give up your, previous position, or maybe your customer acquisition that you've retained there, and they can stay happy there. But if you are in a position where you've built a huge team and you need to basically leave and you're going to build another huge team at another company, truth is some of your team members will follow you. Definitely not by force, right? Um, Definitely not because you're reaching out, but because they're going to come to you, right? You've built that loyalty with them, and they are loyal to you as their leader, right? But following guidelines and following policies and doing it in a plate from a place of integrity is important. So putting in a resignation letter is important. Typically before you actually do your new enrollment. So I would suggest putting in a resignation letter, let's say, tonight at 6 p.m., and then in the morning, then you can go and sign up for your new company. So you have a very clear end date, start date. So there's no conflict of interest. Okay. This is huge. On paper, it's cleaner. It looks great. It's just a professional, classy thing to do. Okay. It's just so much, it's so much simpler. So again, a lot of times I think people, and if you've made these things, guys, it's totally fine. We've all, learned our lessons, but it's much better to make a decision that will benefit you and your people and your integrity, withhold your integrity together long term, than making decisions based on maybe some short-term bonuses. Okay. So keep that in mind as well. The other thing with what to do and not to do legality wise is if people are reaching out to you, you can have a text. An attorney advised us to say this. Basically, if someone did message us about our opportunity that was on our team or sidelines or anything like that, and legally within now every company and every plan is different. Legally, those people could join us, but we just could not reach out to them, right? So you might say something like, hey, name, hey, Megan, thank you for reaching out. I'm complying with XYZ company policies and procedures. I'm not reaching out or soliciting to any of their representatives. Therefore, if you want to learn more, please reply yes to this message confirming that you reached out to me and that I did not reach out to you. I appreciate your friendship, support, and I will continue to cheer you on regardless. Now, that might seem a little bit crazy, right? But again, I want to honor the policies and procedures in place. I also want to protect the assets that I'm building and my leaders' assets. I want to guide them to not make a mistake that could get them in trouble as well. So again, we're acting out of integrity and making sure that, we do have a fresh start and we are following policies. Okay, the third thing there is let's see here. So the last point really is be prepared to go on a huge run. Okay. You can build momentum. And in actually both transitions, I've actually doubled my pay in the first 30 days because we built so much momentum. Because sometimes a fresh start is great. Now, I will talk in a minute a little bit about not getting distracted into just looking for a fresh start. But be ready to do a minimum of a huge 90-day run, and just know that first 6 to 12 months of rebuilding, you want to give it your all. You do not want to let go of the gas pedal, because if you do that right, you can set yourself up for success and build a ton of leverage. So make sure to be ready, right? That's why you don't want to speak openly. You don't want to talk to anybody until you've in your gut made the decision, I am going to transition, and you've prepared yourself. Now, obviously, timing's never going to be perfect, but you've aligned yourself right. You've prepared your family maybe for those things. And first thing is, importantly, do what's best for you. Okay. Make that decision first. Be 100% sure that you are ready for a transition. before you speak to your team, speak to your leaders, anything like that. Don't make emotional decisions, right? And because the truth is, every time that you move, you break trust with people. You do. So it's the unfortunate piece. So you don't want to make a lot of moves. However, sometimes it is necessary, whether it's there's a huge collapse or whether you have done something for so long and it just makes sense for you. It's where you are being called. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't get distracted by shiny objects. Don't get, you know, excited about an opportunity just because of an emotional decision. Make sure to bring your logic into it and really assess in a timely manner and strategize. Is this what's best for you and your team? So, guys, I hope that those points were helpful. I think right now, especially like I said, we're going into a season where um, there's going to be so many people, unfortunately, with collapses and the MLM industry really evolving for the better. But sometimes with that, um, we have to go through some cleanup. We have to go through things like that. So, a lot of people are going to be looking for homes, right? And so if you're here on this video, I hope that this just brings you some wisdom, some advice on what to expect if you're going to be making a transition. I'm always here to reach out to if you need any guidance or anything like that. I've been through it myself. I know how difficult it can be also to receive, new news from your company and not really sure what to expect. And sometimes those decisions lead to a transition for you. And just know that if you're doing what makes sense and you feel it in your gut, that change can sometimes be necessary and it's okay. But do it with dignity, do it with integrity, and do your due diligence. I cannot say that enough. Do your due diligence. Don't just jump into something blindsided because, even if your company shut doors today, take the time that you need, even if that's a full 48 hours, to be with you and yourself and in prayer about the situation. So, guys, this has been so great. I can't wait to see you on the next episode of the biggest network marketing mistakes. By the way, one of the biggest mistakes I will share, actually, I'm going to share this. Oh, I didn't plan on sharing this, but I like to share big mistakes on this. One of the biggest mistakes that I made, I didn't think I was going to share this. I think it's been a few years, so I will, in a transition, is I did have a leader that had some people, somebody come to me and they were, a little bit hesitant to join a new company under the same leadership. And so we did end up connecting them with someone still within that leader's lineage. However, it didn't sit well with that leader. So when you're making these transitions as well, it's important to honor the integrity of the organization as a whole when transitioning. Now, that doesn't mean that if you have a leader come over and they're not doing anything, that you just let people join and put people under them and like crazy. But if they're coming over, you do everything to keep the integrity of the organization the same level wise, et cetera. Don't just let it be a haywire mess of everyone's fending for themselves. Okay. Protect your leadership and your leaders, and protect your entity's organization. This is key. So overall, we did do this very, very well, but we did have one kind of miss up, and unfortunately it led to a lot of just sadness and, heartbrokenness. And it's an unfortunate decision. I grew as a leader and as a friend through that situation. And I'm deeply just, torn up about it still to this day. But, at the end of the day, things happen for a reason, for God to humble us and teach us and prepare us to be better. So you guys, I'll see you on the next episode. I hope that this was helpful. Bye.
Hey, I hope you loved today's episode of the MLM Moms podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can get notified when we drop new interviews and nuggets. And hey, I have a free gift for you. I created a training that breaks down the 3 secrets to time freedom in any network marketing business without the burnout and without the guilt every time you pick up your phone. You can grab it at www.letsbuildfreedom.com. It's absolutely free. But hey, in exchange, could you do me one favor? Share this episode with someone you think who would really enjoy it and help me spread the word. Thanks. I'll see you on the next episode of the MLM Moms podcast.